Welcome back to Recovery Demystified. My name's Early. I'll be your host. If you haven't quite found your place in addiction recovery yet, guess what? I'm coming back for you. I'm happy to have y'all here today. Today, I would like to discuss a really important topic in recovery, which is responding to difficult thoughts. So just, I guess, a little story. When I put both feet in the water and really tried my hardest to do AA, even though it never resonated with me and always made me want to drink more, I was like, okay, I'm so desperate, I'll do whatever y'all say and just hope for the best. And when you get like a craving or a difficult emotion, what AA teaches you is to pray to your higher power to have the emotion removed from you or to have the craving removed from you. And the higher power that I chose was Mother Nature. And I 1,000% believe that Mother Nature is a power greater than myself or whatever. Like, I don't have a hard time believing that. But the thing is, if I had a craving and I would just be like, imagine me like putting my hands together in a little prayer position. Dear Mother Nature, please remove this craving from me. Like, that does not compute. That never felt real. It's not, I don't know. I'm just like, I believe in the power of nature. Like, it's obviously stronger than me. But do I think she's like working at my beck and call? Do I think that asking her to remove uncomfortable feelings works? No, I don't believe that. And it never worked. And further, I think that asking for difficult feelings to be removed from us, for cravings to be removed, for, guilt or sadness or fear, just to magically be removed to us by something else outside of us is not a healthy response to something difficult. Emotions, cravings, all of that stuff is like a normal part of the human experience and the experience with having a dependence on an addictive substance, and asking for something else just to remove it like magic doesn't give us skills to be able to tolerate difficult experiences in our lives. And further, it takes away our own accountability, agency, and autonomy in our own process. So today I want to talk about practical, clear-cut, useful, logical responses that we can have to difficult emotions. And difficult emotions just include like anything that's uncomfortable, anything that's hard to face. This is going to have to do with addictive cravings. This is going to have to do with like anxiety, fear, sadness, grief, just like anything that we feel that we're not super stoked to be going through. And a lot of times when we are addicted, we are trying to suppress these difficult feelings with substances, right? So it's like, oh, I had a stressful day. I don't want to feel stressed. Let me just have a drink, right? Or, oh, I'm like grieving the loss of a loved one. It's so painful. I don't want to face that difficulty. So how about instead I smoke some pot or whatever? So this is an invitation to you, instead of suppressing difficult emotions, to turn and face them and give them a name and have healthy methods for understanding yourself and working through difficult feelings instead of suppressing them. And this goes with a corresponding slideshow that I made for one of our support groups, and I will link that in the description if it helps you to have a visual aid to follow along with the slideshow with this podcast. So I'll start with how do thoughts even happen? Which is like an interesting thing. A lot of people go through their entire lives without ever thinking about where thoughts come from. But thoughts are actually the end of the line in a complex neurobiological process. So your body is just like immensely intelligent, and it recognizes when you have a need. And then it gives you a feeling, which is like a physical sensation in your body. So for this example, we'll just go with hunger because that's one that's really easy for everyone to relate to. So what does hunger feel like in the body? It can feel like a rumbling in your stomach. It can feel, maybe if you're super hungry, you kind of get like sweaty and shaky. And those are like physical feelings that we can relate to recognizing hunger. And your body is giving you physical feelings because it's telling you you need something. And then second, we have an emotion that's tied to the physical feelings. So the emotion is a mental process that's designed to get us to act to meet our needs. So if we're hungry, we have that stomach rumbling, we have other physical feelings tied along with that. And then sometimes, like, I'm sure we can all relate to the feeling of being hangry. Sometimes it's like before we even recognize that we're hungry, we're mad, right? So that is the like emotion that's tied in with these physical sensations. And then third, our mind creates a thought to explain to us the feeling that we're having. And the thought is meant to provoke us to meet our body's need. It's important to remember that the thought your mind creates might not even be true. So like, for instance, if we're going on that feeling of hunger, sometimes like the thought can be, God, my coworkers are just pissing me off, or I'm so sick of standing in this line. And that's tied to the anger that's explaining the hunger, right? But if we can like take a step back and kind of recognize what we're going through, we can say, okay, I'm having this difficult thought, right? I'm pissed off that I'm dealing with my coworkers or I'm standing in line. And then you turn back and you say, oh, okay, the emotion is that I'm feeling angry, right? Why might I be feeling angry? Oh, I haven't eaten in 4 hours, right? I'm actually just hungry. What is my body telling me? So that's how thoughts happen. First, we have a feeling, then we have an emotion, and then our brain creates a thought to explain that emotion to us. And we're keeping in mind that the thought our mind creates may not even be true. For instance, we might be hungry and mad and think that like, oh, everyone hates me, or everyone thinks I'm stupid, or everyone thinks I'm doing a terrible job, right? And this is a way our brain might be explaining something to us, but it might not even be true because we never truly know what others are thinking. And addictive processes hijack our thoughts. So our body has like innumerable methods and processes all to keep us alive. Our body is intelligent and wants what's best for us. And whenever we do something that our body recognizes is good for survival, a bit of dopamine is released. And a normal amount of dopamine will be released from like, finding a food source or having sex or having like a positive social interaction, receiving a hug. Normal amounts of dopamine are released, right? But alcohol use, drug use, and things like junk food, social media, our phones, all of that releases excessive amounts of dopamine into our brain. And this results in our brains thinking that we really need these things for survival. It thinks that we are going to die without this stuff because it's in a part of our brain that only recognizes neurochemicals, right? It doesn't have the whole picture. It just sees, I'm getting a huge amount of dopamine. I know I need that to learn and to survive. And the more I get, the more I need that thing to live. So as our use escalates, our dopamine pathways become increasingly hijacked. And since our brains have learned that we need alcohol or whatever to survive, the thought it gives us in response to feelings and emotions increasingly becomes, you need a drink, you need a hit, you need to pick up your phone. So instead of having any variety of thoughts that part of your brain, your limbic system is giving you, it increasingly is just going to turn to every single physical sensation, every single emotion is explained by you need to have a drink or you need to use whatever you are addicted to. I have 3 practical ways that we can respond to any variety of difficult emotions. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's cool. But, give them all a try. and practice with it. And I love to say, like, in this process of recovery, you are the scientist and you are the test subject. You're gathering data on yourself. You are an expert in what you need. You are an expert in what works for you. And when you're trying new things, study yourself like a scientist. Write it down. Write down how it makes you feel, the changes that you see, the benefits, the rewards. If it's detrimental, just gather the data on yourself during these times and reflect on it. Go back and write it down in a journal, go back and read it and be like, oh yeah, when I tried this method of responding to difficult thoughts, guess what? That was really helpful for me. And that is how we're going to learn about ourselves and create new neural pathways, grow and change. And, the old neural pathways of just responding to everything with taking a drink or whatever get overgrown with trees and fade away with time, so you can do it. And anywho, here is the first method that I invite y'all to try. It's called the HALT method, HALT. I couldn't find when I was researching who this is originally attributed to, but I think it's like the good first line of defense in addressing difficult emotions and discomfort. So as soon as the thought pops into our head, like, oh, I need a drink, or, oh, I need a drug, or, oh, I just need to like scroll social media or whatever we're struggling with, as soon as we have that thought, we can say, okay, I'm experiencing an addictive craving right now. Let me check in with the HALT method. So the H in HALT stands for hungry. So we can just sort of explore within ourselves, like, when was the last time I ate something that nourished me? Is it possible that I could be hungry right now? It's pretty simple. We all know what our own nutritional needs are. So a lot of times the addictive cravings can just be in response to perhaps we're hungry. And that's a pretty easy one to solve. So the next one is A, and that stands for angry. We can just ask ourselves questions like, is something grinding my gears? It should be pretty simple to answer, like, am I mad? Right? Because a lot of times people's first response to being pissed off is like, oh, I'm going to drink it away, like that type of shit. So if we do recognize that we are angry, we can ask ourselves, like, how can I let off this steam in a healthy way? Because anger is an important emotion. It's telling us that we're having our needs not met, something is not in alignment with our morals. And oftentimes, like, anger is masking sadness underneath. So it is important to just be like, all right, I see that I'm angry. My first response is an addictive craving. I'm trying to address my addiction. So what is an alternative? How can I let off my steam in a way that's healthy? And it might be exercise. It might be singing a song and dancing around your living room. It might be, any number of things, just to like let that anger move through your body. And then the L in HALT stands for lonely. Am I seeking connection? Who can I call? And even, can my pet help soothe me? There is a lot of studies showing that our relationships with animals can cause the same synaptic brain connections that our relationship with other humans can. So sometimes just like laying down and petting a sweet doggy can be good enough if we don't feel like we have anyone to call or hang out with. But also interpersonal connections are very important. So folks will try to drink away the sadness, the loneliness. But when we ask ourselves, like, am I lonely? You are not a burden ever for reaching out to your friends or your family. And if they make you feel that way, they are not real friends. The point of friendship is to support each other and to enjoy each other. So do not feel like a burden. If you're feeling lonely and you're having an addictive craving, call someone. And I mean, also, if that is not available to you, sometimes just like putting on one of those recovery podcasts and just like listening to someone else's story can help you feel less alone. And then the T in HALT stands for tired. Sleep is not for the dead. Okay? Sleep is for the tired. fuck the grind, go to bed. Don't make me get on my soapbox about how the fucking late stage capitalism is breaking us all down, trying to make us like think that workaholism is a valuable human attribute. Like, sleep is the bottom of the pyramid of the foundation of health. It is the most important thing you can do for yourself. And if you're recognizing that you're tired, go to sleep. Lay down, take a break, do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself because you deserve it. So that is the HALT method. The next one I have on here is the kitchen table method. And I learned this from the Secular Buddhism podcast by Noah Rasheta. Basically, you imagine internally in your mind that your mind is a house and your core self is in the kitchen. And your core self is the version of you that loves you, that wants what's best for you. Your core self is like the owner of the home, and it's the viewer of all of the other thoughts. So while you're imagining yourself in your kitchen, in your house as your core self, an uncomfortable emotion or feeling knocks at your door. Instead of ignoring it or hoping it goes away, which if you do ignore it, that uncomfortable feeling is going to knock harder. It might break the window. It might knock the door out, you know. Instead of ignoring the feelings or hoping they go away, you open the door and say, "Hello, addictive craving. Welcome to my house. Why are you visiting me today?" Or, "Hello, loneliness. Hello, grief. Hello, guilt. Welcome to my house. Why are you visiting me today?" Because again, all of our feelings, every emotion is important. They are messengers. They're here to tell us something. Their uncomfortable sensations are like ringing an alarm bell telling us our needs aren't being met and that we need to make a change in order to feel rested, more calm and peaceful. Okay, so instead of turning them away at the door, we welcome them inside, sit them down at the table in our kitchen, and just ask them, like, "Why are you here today?" And then you listen. And I mean, this is all just like the thought process of our own minds anyway. So listening should be pretty intuitive. And this method can kind of sound like a little wacky and strange at first. But for me personally, it resonates a lot. And I do use this skill pretty much every day. And I've found specifically with anxiety that me just naming the anxiety and welcoming it into my house immediately just kind of like dissolves it. It's kind of like a magic trick for me personally. That's the kitchen table method, and I do invite you to give it a shot. Next, I have the RAIN method, and this is another acronym, RAIN. And the RAIN method was created by Michelle McDonald. So the R in the RAIN method stands for recognize. So first we give the uncomfortable feeling a name, right? Like, I'm feeling fear. I am feeling an addictive craving. I am feeling joy. And as soon as we give it a name, you will find that its power just decreases. Just turning and facing it instead of running away from it or suppressing it, giving it a name, like pretty immediately disempowers the strength of the discomfortable emotion. Discomfortable? I think I just invented a word. So we recognize it and then we name it. And that's the R in RAIN. And then after that, we allow it. The A stands for allow. And instead of running away or suppressing the emotion, we turn to face it and allow it to happen. And this can be easier said than done, especially at first. So if it feels impossible to allow it, we practice trying to allow it to happen. And the more we practice trying to allow it to happen, instead of resisting it, we'll get better and better at it each time. And then eventually allowing the emotion to happen, even if it sucks and it hurts and we don't like it, it's going to become easier and easier over time. And then the I in RAIN stands for investigate. So as we recognize the emotion, we allow the emotion, we then ask ourselves during the investigation portion, where is this feeling coming from? Have I ever felt this way before? Do I perhaps have unmet needs? And further, is an addictive craving masking another emotion? If we go back to a few slides ago, understanding how addiction hijacks our thoughts, our brain increasingly, as we use or drink more and more, is going to use addictive craving as a response to any emotion. So it's important to ask, if I'm having a craving, is it masking sadness? Is it masking anxiety? Is it masking something else? You're not limited to just these questions. You can ask yourself anything during the investigation period. And then after we're done investigating, like, where this feeling is coming from, then the N in RAIN stands for nurture. So it is important, instead of like beating ourselves up and allowing that inner critic to take over during times of difficulty, that we treat ourselves like a fucking baby. We treat ourselves how we would treat our best friend if they were going through something hard. Because a lot of times our inner critic is so hard on us. And the things that the inner critic says to us, we would never say to someone who we love. And there is no reason why we should believe anything our inner critic has to say. It's so important during a difficult emotion, as we're trying to tolerate it, during an addictive craving, as we're just trying to survive it, nurture yourself, treat yourself super gently, and do whatever you need to tolerate the discomfort of the emotion. An uncomfortable emotion is only a sensation. It's an uncomfortable sensation, and you will survive it, right? You are the one who makes the choice to respond to these things in different ways. And it's all based on just like an uncomfortable sensation. And you can live through the uncomfortable sensation, no matter how painful or difficult it might be. And it's so much easier to live through it if you're nurturing yourself. So that is the RAIN method. And then I just have like a couple of suggestions for nervous system regulation. So basically, our nervous system has two major parts. There's the sympathetic nervous system, which we recognize as fight or flight, in addition to freeze and fawn. And then there's our parasympathetic nervous system, which we recognize as rest and digest, and it is our chill zone. So if we are feeling like extremely activated, nervous, sweaty, anxious, panicked, or some other like really highly uncomfortable sensation, sometimes we can be too activated to tolerate discomfort, to be gentle with ourselves, or to even remember, like, what does HALT stand for? What does RAIN stand for? So if we recognize that we're in this sort of like fight, flight, freeze, fawn, like the panic zone, there are simple breathing exercises that we can do to bring ourselves back into rest and digest. So I'll share just a couple of them with you. One is deep belly breathing with elongated out breaths. And so basically you would breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Maybe retain it for a moment at the top if you'd like. And when you're doing it, like, concentrate on like inflating your belly out like a balloon. Like, it's also called diaphragmatic breathing. So nice and slow in through your nose, puff out your belly while you're doing it. Imagine the air going in your nose, down your throat, through your lungs, and down into your belly. So in, 2, 3, 4, your belly's nice and puffed up, and then you can either breathe out through your mouth or through your nose, but count longer than 4. Like, try for 6 or maybe 8, right? So then you breathe out, your belly starts to relax, your navel pulls in towards your spine, and you breathe out of your belly. Imagine the air going up through your lungs, your throat, and out through either your mouth or nose, and you breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is important to practice doing this before you're in a state of panic, because once you're in a state of panic, it's basically impossible to learn something new. So if you set a timer every morning, for 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you can tolerate, and practice this slow belly breathing with elongated out breaths and focusing on your breath and visualizing it going into your belly and out through your mouth. The more you practice it, it's going to become second nature. And then as soon as you recognize, oh, I'm in fight or flight mode and I can't remember what HALT stands for, I don't remember any of these methods of tolerating difficult emotions, you can say, oh, I'm going to do that breathing practice that I learned. And then a second one, if you want to try this, is called box breathing. It's also very self-soothing. So I suggest like putting a hand on your chest, and with box breathing, you breathe in for a count of 4. You hold it at the top for a count of 4. Then you breathe out also for a count of 4. And then you hold it out for a count of 4. And you just continue like that. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. Until you sort of feel that rest and digest start up. Other things that you can do to bring yourself back into your body, you can cue up your favorite song and dance and scream. I like to put on a yoga video. It can even just be a little 10-minute one. Shake your body all around. A lot of times the emotions are just stuck inside of our body, and bringing movement back into our body can move and release the stuck feelings. There's also 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is like naming 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. 1 thing you can taste. Feeling the parts of your body that are touching the ground, touching the chair, touching your clothes. Anything that can take you out of your mind and put you back into your body is going to be an important skill to practice for when we're feeling overwhelmed. And something I go to again and again and again is I tell myself, you won't feel this way forever. You won't. I can't think of a single emotion that I've had for the continuity of every moment of my entire life, right? There's ones that come up a lot, but they come and they go. And I know I have to tell myself, you won't feel this way forever. Because sometimes it seems like it's going to be forever, but it won't. And those are the concrete ways that you can try to practice responding to difficult emotions. I hope something in this episode resonates with you or is helpful for you. I had a lot of fun putting together this slideshow. So yeah, go and click on that in the description if you want to check out the slideshow that goes along with this. And if you got anything out of this episode, share it with a friend, rate and review or whatever. You're going to be okay. I love you. May you be happy and free, dear listener. Recovery Demystified is produced and edited by me, Early Brunner. Stevie Petet made our logo. Our social media manager is Kaylee Bausch. Logan Bragg wrote our beautiful theme music. We are entirely supported by donations as a 501c3 nonprofit. Your tax-deductible donations can be made to our Venmo or to our PayPal at Recovery Demystified. May you be happy and free, dear listener.